Good day, beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. It's your girl Decency Apparels. If this is the first time you are coming across any of my video, you are welcome to my channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate. On today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful Bubu kaftan you saw on the thumbnail. We're going to make use of 4 yards of Ankara lining, bridal satin that will be put in front, my scissors, my tape, my ruler, my short. These are the only things you need. The next thing is to remove the satin and the lining and work with the Ankara first. You know, the length of the outfit I'm making is 57 inches, but the length of Ankara African print is 45 inches. So we're not going to fold our fabric using the length of the Ankara. We're going to fold with the width. We're going to fold it with the width so that we'll be able to get the length we are working with. The first thing is to open up my fabric. I folded the fabric into two first using the width of the fabric. I first of all folded it into two. Then after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to fold it again. I'm going to fold it again, just like so. I first of all folded it into two, just like this. I folded it into two. Then after that, I'm going to fold it on top of the other again, thereby making the folds to be 4. I'm going to fold it this way. And after aligning it properly, this is what we now have. We now have a fold of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I folded it. Make sure everything aligns properly because we're going to cut both the front and the back together. Here I'm marking out the full length of the gown at 57 inches plus the hemming allowance. That is what I'm marking right now. After marking out the full length, I extended the lines. Then the next thing to work on now is the shoulder part. Her shoulder is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. So here I marked 8 inches for her shoulder. I marked 8 inches for her shoulder. Then the next is to measure the sleeve. It is your choice to determine the length you want the sleeve to be. You start from that 8 inches I marked to measure where you want your sleeve to, how long you want your sleeve to be. You measure from that 8 inches to how long you want it to be. It's your choice. On this particular style now, I want to use 12 inches. I want to use 12 inches. I wanted to use 12 inches, but I later adjusted it to 13 inches. That's what I used. I'm going to use 13 inches for my sleeve. The length I use for my sleeve is 13 inches, but you can go ahead and use the one you want. It's all your choice. From that 8 inches to the length you want your sleeve to be. After that, the next thing I measured is my bust length. I measured my bust length at 11 inches. That is the next thing I measured. I measured my bust length at 11 inches. After that, I measured my waist length at 17 inches. Then I took it down to measure my hip at 26 inches. I will mark it again at the other side. My bust length at 11, waist length and my hip length. I will extend the lines. I extended the bust line, the waist line and the hip line. Next is to measure the round bust. Her round bust is 40 divided by 4. That's why I'm folding my tape. Fold it first and fold it again. Then whatever you got, I marked her round bust. After I marked her round bust, I added 2 inches ease because it's a free gown. I added 1 inch allowance. Then after that, on the waist, I'm going to mark her round waist to divide by 4, added the same 2 inches for ease and 1 inch for allowance, for sewing allowance. Then on the hip, I did the same thing, marked her round hip, added 2 inches for sewing allowance, no sorry, added 2 inches for ease and 1 inch for sewing allowance. After that, you check whatever you got on the hip, you mark the same thing at the down part. Whatever you have at the hip is what you mark at the full length. That's what I'm marking. I got 15 inches at the hip, and I extended the 15 inches down, and I connected from the hip to the full length. Then you connect from your hip to your waist and to the chest line. You can use your curve ruler at this point if you have one to curve it. Because I used a straight ruler, that is why I'm blending all this curvy side to avoid sharp edges. You blend it out if you use a straight ruler to avoid sharp edges. Then the next thing to do is next I will come to the shoulder, measure from the sleeve length to this edge. Whatever I got 21. I'm going to mark the same thing at the chest line and used my ruler to connect it. Whatever I got, both of them the same thing. Then after connecting it, you also come again at that chest line, at this sharp edge. We are not going to leave it this way. We are going to add a slight curve at that armpit for the armhole curve. Yes, that is why I added that slight curve there. Then after that, the next thing is to work on our neckline. Then for the neck width, I'm going to use 4 inches for the neck width, and for the neck depth, for the back neck depth, I'm going to use 1.5 inches, and I connected it. This is the back neckline. And for the front neckline, I'm going to mark out 8 inches for the front neckline. This is what I just marked, and I will connect with slanted line, and it will have a v-neck line. For now, we are still going to work on the front neckline first. Then after that, our pattern is almost ready. We'll cut it out and finish it up, but we'll first of all cut it now. Next thing is to put a notch on that front width. After putting a notch on that front width, you put a notch at that edge, so that it will help us while working on the front part. Make sure you put the notch so that it will be more easier for you when working on the front. Next is to open it up, just like you see me do now. Just open it up, open it one side, the other. The front will be one side and the back will be one side. That is what I just did. And after opening it up like this, just spread it out like this. The front one side, the back one side. And after that, the next is to hold on that notch you made. On that notch we made that time, hold it like this. Hold for the front and for the back on that notch you made, the center front and the center back. It will help. What that will help you, the notch, hold it up like this and lift it up. When you lift it up, you fold it together. Fold the front together one side and you fold the back together one side, just like this. Adjust it very well. Fold it, make sure that they all lay on each other very well, so that you draft appropriately. Then after aligning it all properly, the next thing we'll do now is to get that design at the front part. We are going to mark 2 inches all through the front part, starting from the full length and coming up as you see me doing now. I marked 2 inches all through. and I connected all the lines together. The 2 inches I marked. The 2 inches will get to that neck depth of 8 inches I marked. The 2 inches will get up to that place. You mark the 2 inches up to the 8 inches I came down at the front neckline. I connected the lines together to that 8 inches and I marked it all out. After that, the next thing we will do now is to connect from that 8 inches, just like so, with a slight slanted line. Just connect it like so. From the notch you make at that side, you connect it just like so. From the 8 inches to the notch you made, and then you cut it out. We'll cut it out. And at that 8 inches, we'll have to make a notch. We'll make a notch at that 8 inches so that it will help us when sewing back the material that we cut out, because we'll replace it with the bridal satin. I marked 8 inches there and I placed a notch there at that 8 inches. I notched it so that I'll be able to locate it when I spread it out. Next is to measure from that back neckline all through the down part. I'll measure it out. I'll just get my tape and measure it all through so that I'll be able to know the amount of material I'm going to cut out from the bridal satin. That is what I'm measuring right now, to know the amount of fabric I'm going to cut out from the bridal satin. Next is to cut it out on the bridal satin. You know, it was on fold when I cut it out and it was 2 inches. So when I'm cutting it out on the bridal satin, I'm going to cut out 5 inches so that when placed on fold it will be 2.5 inches. And after, I will use half inch to join it to the main fabric. Then after joining it will now come back to the 2 inches it was. So I'm going to cut out 5 inches. Then the next is to cut out the lining. I'm going to cut the lining the exact way I cut the main fabric. And here is it after cutting it out. I simply place what the material I cut out on the lining and cut it out. I had to join some of the lining parts because it was a cut together style, so I had to join the lining in some places you are seeing now. Nothing much. I just placed the main fabric on the lining and cut it out. The next thing we are going to work on now is to turn the lining, but before then there is something we'll have to do. I've gone ahead to cut the bridal satin. I cut a very long strap and join it. Bridal satin is usually by 60 and I cut 2 of it and I joined it together, ironed it, folded it on top of the other and ironed it because I need the grease line while sewing. And it's on fold. When on fold is 2.5 inches, as I explained earlier. I'm going to use the half inch to join to the main fabric, and this is where I joined it at the center. This is it. I've gone ahead to iron it out after cutting it out. I also went ahead to cut another strip that I'm going to use for the sleeve because I want the sleeve to be exactly the same way with the center front. I also folded the one for the sleeve using the same 2.5 inch because I want both the strap of the sleeve and the front and the one on the center to be on the same way. So I cut 2.5. I'll use half inch to join. Then after joining, it will now be 2 inches. Both the one I'm going to use to attach at the front and the one I'm going to use for the sleeve, they are all 2.5 inches. Then after that, before turning with the lining, there's something I will do. I'm going to join the strap I want to use for the hand. I'm going to sew it on first before turning with the lining. Reason, if I don't do it, After, I won't be able to turn it with the lining. I want it to be neat after turning it. So this is how I'll go about it. I'll first of all, on the right side of the fabric, I'll place it on the right side of the fabric and sew on top of it, just like so, using half inch. I'll sew on top of it, but before that we'll do some adjustments. We'll place the strap like this, make sure it's matched, and after placing it this way, you cut out the excesses. Just place it on it very well. Then the excess material that came out, you cut it out so that you have both the same thing. After cutting it out, you now have exactly the same thing that matches the length of the sleeve, just like so. Then the next thing you do again is to come in by half inch on both sides of the strap. You come in by half inch here, and you also come in by half inch on the other side. I'll explain the reason why you come in. After marking it out on both sides, you mark this side and you mark the other side too. You come in by 1 inch only on the strap, not on the main fabric, on the bridal satin, and you cut it out. You cut out the half inch that you marked, cut this side and cut the other side. So the bridal satin is now half inch shorter than the main fabric sleeve. Reason, so that when you sew on it, when you sew the lining on it, it will not touch this upper part at the so that you'll be able to turn it this way, because after sewing you turn it this way. But if you don't cut it out, you won't be able to flip it over. That is the reason why you cut out the half inch. That's the reason for cutting it out. Here I've sewn down the strap. I've sewn it down with half inch. Look at it, and look at the half inch I left. I've sewn it out so that when turning it out, it will be very, very easy. This is the reason. Then this is how you turn it after attaching the lining. This is how you turn it. The next thing we're going to do now is to spread out our fabric, our main fabric. Spread it out like this. After spreading it like this, place the lining on top of it very well. Let everything align. The way you place it, right side facing each other. Make sure the right side of the fabric, the lining is being placed on top of it. And after that, the way you sew all the side, starting from the sleeve, down part, the side front. You leave the center, you not sew the center and the down part. All the side, from the hands and all the sides of the back, you sew all the sides of the back, all the sides of the front. The only place you are not going to sew is that front part that I took out 2 inches. You not sew it. And this back too, you sew all the sides of the back. You sew it all. The only place that you will be left, that you leave that you not sew, is this front, the neckline down to the down part on this front. You are not going to sew it, but all the sides will be sewn. You use this center front to turn the whole thing after sewing. You will not sew the down part and this front center front. You will not sew it, but the whole of the sides you will sew it. Let's go now over to the machine and do that. As I'm showing you right now, I first secured with a pin to hold it before sewing, so that it will make it easier for me. You can do that, it will help you. After that, I'm now sewing the whole thing round, all the sides. As I told you, this is me sewing the side, the sleeve, and after I'm done sewing, this is what I have. I've joined all the sides together. The only place that is being left now is that center front with the down part. I used the pin to hold down that center front. See, I pinned it up the center front. I did not sew it. I only used the pin to put it in place, but I sewed the side, and this is the side after I finished sewing it, and this is the front side. I only used pin to secure it. This center front is only the sides. See the sleeve part, I've sewn it down. The straps is in between them. When I turn it out, I will now bring out that strap for the sleeve. Look at it now. Use this center now to turn everything out. I did not sew the down part, as I told you. It's only the down part and the center front that I did not sew. I will now turn it over using the center front and show us what we have. And this is it after turning it out. After using the center to turn it, this is the side. See how neat it is. And this is the hand. You see how I used the lining to turn the hand and I brought it out. You see the reason, that half inch that we cut out. See how neat it came out. See how beautiful it is. I'm still going to give it a very good press for the lining to relax very well. This is the other side. After the turning, this is how it looks. And look at the side, neatly turned. Look at the two sides, the front side and the back side neatly turned. It's now left for us to work on the center front now. We'll work on it right now. For us to be able to work on this center front, we have to sew it down, starting from the down part all through the neckline and come again down all through and sew down the down part. Here I've finished sewing it down. I just sewed the main fabric and the lining together so that I'll be able to work on it. And I held the down part too. You know, I did not turn the down part too. I just held it down the same way I did for the center front. I just held it, both the lining and the fabric together, so that we'll be able to work on it. The next thing now is to introduce the strap we cut that we'll use for the collar all through down. What we will do now is to get our neckline and our slit. The first thing we will have to do, because I joined this strap into two, so you have to fold the strap into two and locate the center. Here I'm folding the strap into two to locate the center, and when I locate the center, there won't be much difficulty here because I joined it. So that place I joined together is the center of it. After locating the center, I joined two of the strap together, so there's no difficulty there. This is the center, and I placed it on that notch I made at the center back. Place the center of your strap, place it at that notch point at the center back, and after placing it, you have to pin it. You pin one side first. This is for us to get our neckline. We're still going to remove the strap, sew on it and put it back, but for us to get our neckline is what we are doing now. We'll place it till we reach to that 8 inches point we make for the neckline, and we will mark it out. You see the reason why we are doing it, so that we'll be able to know where we will stop while sewing for the allowance for our neck. That is the reason for doing this thing, for pinning it up. And this is what I did. When I got to that 8 inches, I made a mark. I made a mark when I got to that 8 inches. That's what I'm marking. I mark it with a pen slightly, and I placed a notch there so that I will know where the neckline will stop. And after I did that for this side, I will do the same thing for the other side too. I will still pin the other side. I'll pin it, and when I get to that 8 inches, to that 8 inches point, I'm going to do the same thing I did for this other side. That is what I will do. I will continue pinning it. Pin it gently and carefully. There's no need to rush here. Just make sure you get everything accurately. I continue pinning it down. I pinned it till, and when I got to that 8 inches, I brought my pen and did a slight mark again, and I put a notch I've notched the two sides. I now know where my neckline stopped. After locating the neckline and marking it out, next is to remove all the pin, bring out the strap for the collar and work on it. Now I'm done on pinning it. Let's work on the strap for the collar. That is the center. That place I joined, that is the center of it. It's the center of the back neckline. This place I joined will be the center. Then the next thing I'll do now is to open it up like this. To open it was unfold like this before. It was unfold like this. Then you open it up. You open it up to the wrong side. Just like so. You open it up on the wrong side and place one on top of each other, right side facing each other. When you open it up, place one on top of each other, right side facing each other, just like so, and align it very well. Just like this. Align it very well. Lay it flat like this. After aligning and placing it on top of each other very well, we will then locate that place we notched for the neckline. This is it, that place I made a little mark and notched. We'll first locate it, and when you locate it, when you locate the place, you mark a you make a mark. I just make a small mark. I'll still use my chalk to highlight it so that you see it. I make a mark there, and that place will be my neckline. You see the reason why we placed it that time and made a mark, so that we were able to know where our neckline is starting. That was the reason. And after marking out the neckline, we are going to determine where we want our slits to start from. And from that place, from that 8 inches we started our neckline from, we're going to measure from there where we want our slit to start from. So the next thing is to measure. I placed my tape 8 inches for that neckline, and from that 8 inches I took my tape down. Her knee length is from 8 to her knee length is 38. I don't want the slit to start from her knee length. I came up a bit. I started the slit from 35 inches. So I marked the slit from that 8 inches. I brought down my tape and I marked 35 inches. That is where her slit will start from. Here I'm marking the knee length at 35 inches. That's what I'm marking right there. And after marking it out, the next thing we will do is to, after marking our neckline and our knee length, we will sew from that line we mark for the neck, we'll sew it down to that line we mark for the knee. We'll sew at that grease line. We'll sew at that middle line. That was why I iron it, so that I'll get that line to sew on. We'll sew from the neckline from this point to the other point. From the line we mark for the neckline at the 8 inches, we'll sew down to the 35 inches and stop. That is what we'll do now. We'll go over to the machine and sew it and show us the next thing to do. Just sew from this here to here. That is all. We'll sew it now and show us what it looks like. And here it is. After sewing it, I sew from this point down. I sew all the way down from that 8 inches point I marked. I sew down to the 35 inches and stop. That is what I did. I just sewed from this point down to this point and stopped. The next thing now to do after sewing it is to open it up, and this is the way you do it. You open one side like this, open up one side like this, place it on top of the other this way. just place it on top of the other this way. Just place one on top of the other, and this is it. You have your neckline this way. You have your neckline this way, and do that all the way down. Do it all the way down. And just like so, our neckline is ready. Our neckline is ready. You do the same thing, open it up that way all through the down part. You open it down all through. And I turned out the down part too. And this is our slit. Our slit is ready. And this is what our collar looks like from up to down after turning it out. Next now is to attach it to our, we attach it now to the main fabric, and this is how to do it. That notched area at the center back, you bring the center neckline from that strap, that place I joined. You already know it. If you did not join your own, it's better you notch it so that you'll be able to know the right place to sew it, so that your neckline will not be bending. And this is how you pin it together, right side facing each other like this. You bring the notch part of the center back neckline and you pin them both together this way. You pin it up properly. I just continued this way and pinned one side from the neckline down to the down part of one side, and I came to the other side and did the same thing. I pinned it all through the down part, and when I got to the 8 inches, I pinned it. Everything is accurate. I pinned everything down. And when I'm done pinning, this is it, the neckline all through the sides to the down part. I only secured with pin. Next now is to sew all through from one end to the other at the machine. And this is it. When I'm done sewing, this is what we have. Our collar is now ready from the neckline to the down part, and this is our slit, all beautiful. I'm still going to overlock all the rough edges to give it a very neat finishing. The next thing to do now is to join both sides using the sewing allowance, the 1-inch sewing allowance that we added when we are drafting. And I'm going to hem the down part, finish it up, and show us what the outfit looks like. Afterwards, now let's go and join both sides together, finish up the down part, and see what it looks like. After joining both the front and back at the sides, this is what we have. I used the 1-inch sewing allowance we added while drafting to join both sides together, and I've also gone ahead to hem the down part. And this is this center front that I added the bridal satin. I've also gone ahead to overlock it, making the finishing to look very neat. And this is the down part that I hemmed with the hemming allowance that I added at the down part. After that, I added the pocket for her because she told me that she wanted pockets for the dress. I did that off camera because the video was becoming too long. That was why. The next thing now is I turned it to the right side for us to see what the right side of our dress looks like. This is what the right side of the dress looks like. So beautiful. The next thing now is to attach the bottom. Yes, I'm going to attach the button to bring out the beauty, but I'm going to give it a very good press before that. And this is the button. I used the fabric to cover the button that I'm going to attach to the dress. I'm going to attach the button now. Give it a good press, place it on the mannequin for us to see what the final look of our dress looks like. And this is our beautiful outfit when placed on the mannequin. This is the final look. This button really brought out the beauty of this dress, and it's really giving what it should give. Yes, it's giving what it should give. And we have come to the end of this tutorial. If at this point you have not subscribed to my channel, please I beg you, what is stopping you? Please na aunty Ejo, please now subscribe to my channel, and when you do, hit the notification bell beside, so that you'll be able to know whenever I post a new video. Like, comment and share. If you have any thoughts or opinion, comment and share. That's the only way you help me grow. There is my client. I took the dress to her shop for her to see it, and she was very happy. See her feeling herself. She was very happy with her dress. Yeah, she was happy. Alright, see you guys in my next video, and thank you again for watching. Bye.